Roamers are extremely important because they are the first line of defense that the attackers run into during their attack. Seeing how important these operators are, you want to be picking the right one for the job. So in today's video, I'll be going through the 3 dedicated roamers, Caveira, Vigil, and Oryx, and rating them out of 10 in 4 key categories. The categories are gadget, loadout, secondary gadget, and versatility, same as usual. Then at the end of the video, I'll be adding up their scores to come to a verdict. So make sure you watch until the end to find out who is the best roamer in Rainbow Six Siege. The first operator that falls into this category is Caveira. Caveira's gadget is Silent Step. This is an ability that Cav can activate that will make her footsteps much quieter. Also, another advantage of her gadget being active is that she won't leave footprints for Jackal to track. Considering that Jackal is arguably the best roam clear in the game, this ability is a huge plus. Another ability that Cav gets passively is the ability to interrogate downed opponents. When interrogating an attacker, Caveira must drop prone on the attacker for a few seconds, which leaves her extremely vulnerable. But if she can pull off the interrogation, it will reveal all the attacker's positions through walls, which is obviously incredibly strong. Now, if you haven't been playing the game for that long, you may think that Caveira's gadget is extremely busted. And while her gadget isn't horrible, there are some huge drawbacks to it. The first being that drone work can just easily shut down a Caveira. Cav's Silent Step is only good against uncoordinated teams that are not droning properly, because as soon as Cav gets spotted on a drone, the attacking team can pinch her and get a pretty easy kill. So, Caveira's gadget only really works at lower ranks, and her passive ability to interrogate is only good when the attackers split up, which is extremely rare at high ranks. So, taking all of this into account, I'll be giving Caveira a 3 out of 10 in the gadget category. Moving past her gadget, it is now time to talk about her loadout, and this is arguably her worst aspect. Cav has a choice between the M12 SMG and the Spaz 15 shotgun as primary options, and the Louison pistol as her only secondary. The M12 SMG is quite literally the worst in the game. Its damage is abysmal and its fire rate is really slow. And this is by design to make her gun more likely to down opponents. But it has the unintended effect of making the gun absolutely terrible. The only redeemable quality about it is that it has low recoil, meaning you can hit easy headshots from any range. But this doesn't make up for the rest of the problems with the gun. As for the Spaz 15, due to how bad the M12 is, the Spaz actually is her best weapon option depending on the map. This thing has a decent capacity, fast fire rate, and good damage. The only downside to picking this primary option is that Cav will have no option for getting into range gunfights. But when picking this gun, she will be a force to be reckoned with in close quarters combat. Speaking of which, her only secondary, the Louison, is incredibly strong at close range. It has the highest damage out of any pistol in the game, it is suppressed, and it has a decent mag size. However, the Louison's one downside is that it has a horrible damage drop off, so trying to use it at range will end poorly for you. Overall, I'll be giving Caveira a 3 out of 10 in the loadout category. Now moving on to her secondary gadgets, Caveira has the choice between impact grenades, proximity alarms, and observation blockers. Impact grenades, as I've said many times before, are really versatile. They can make rotates in the bomb site, destroy attacker utility, and they can be used to get you out of an area in a pinch. The latter is what makes them so strong on Cav. When you get droned out as Cav, you can use her impacts to make yourself a swift getaway. You can also use them to catch attackers off guard when flanking. These two situations make them the clear choice for anyone trying to play Cav seriously. As for prox alarms, they are decent for warning your team of a flanking attacker, but so many other operators have them or even barbed wire, it makes it a complete waste of time for Cav to pick them. Then, her last option, observation blockers, are decent, but they really aren't strong on Cav due to her being a roamer. So overall, I'll be giving her a 5 out of 10 in this category, simply for her having access to impacts, which mesh really well with her gadget and role. Following her secondary gadgets, it is now time to discuss the final category, which is versatility. This is another aspect that Cav performs extremely poorly on. The reason for this is because Caveira is a 3-speed with a selfish gadget and mediocre secondary gadgets. She really doesn't have anything that makes her versatile other than her shotgun and impacts. And most of the time, you can't run the shotgun because maps are so long range. So I'll be giving her a 2 out of 10 in the versatility category. Okay, now that I've wrapped up Caveira, it is now time to discuss Vigil. Vigil's gadget is his backpack that, when active, will make him invisible to any sort of observation gadgets that the attackers use. This means that drones and hacked cameras will not be able to pinpoint Vigil's location, no matter how hard they try. However, they are given a general idea because when Vigil's gadget is active, all cameras will have this effect on them. The effect will intensify as Vigil gets closer to the camera, and it will slowly go away when Vigil gets away from the camera. Now, obviously, this is incredibly strong. As I said earlier with Cav, drones are the biggest counter to roamers, and since Vigil has an ability to counter that, it automatically makes him a good roaming option. But on top of this, Vigil can also counter Lion. While Lion's E1D is active, if Vigil's backpack is on, he can still move without being pinged. This is an incredibly strong passive because a lot of the time people will use lines at E1Ds to try to pinch you into a bad situation. But you can use Vigil's gadget to get out of that pinch and potentially get a kill out of it. You can also get free kills from this by catching the attackers off guard when they're not expecting you. So overall, I'll be giving his gadget a 9 out of 10. After his gadget, it is now time to talk about his loadout. Vigil has a choice between the K1A submachine gun and the Boss G slug shotgun as primary options, and the SMG-12 and C75 auto as secondary options. The K1A is the definition of an average SMG. It has a decent fire rate, decent damage, moderate recoil, and a good capacity. There really isn't anything crazy to write home about, but it's still a good gun. As for the Boss G, that is a completely different story. This slug shotgun is just basically a meme option at this point. It has ridiculous recoil, only 2 bullets can be loaded at a time, and its damage isn't high enough to justify the rest of the gun being horrible. So the K1A is the clear primary option choice for Vigil. But his secondaries are much harder to choose between. The SMG-12 has a stupid high fire rate, decent damage, and a high capacity, but it has difficult to control recoil. The C75 is kind of the exact opposite. It has slow recoil for a machine pistol, high damage, and easy to control recoil. The only downside to the C75 is that you can't equip any weapon sights on it, and its iron sights are huge and are difficult to aim with. So honestly, I would recommend the SMG-12 in most situations. The recoil may be difficult, but its DPS is higher and at least you can actually see. Overall, I'll be giving him a 7 out of 10 in the loadout category. Following his loadout, it is now time to discuss his secondary gadgets. Just like Caveira, Vigil has access to impact grenades, which are strong on him for all the same reasons, but his other option, the bulletproof camera, is arguably better than prox alarms because they can give your team more intel. So I'll be giving him a score 1 higher than Cav in this category, a 6 out of 10. Now it is time to talk about the final category, versatility. Vigil isn't good in this category either. This is because once again, he has a selfish gadget that can't help his team, and the only thing he really brings to the table is his impacts. But he is more versatile than Cav because he is not map dependent. You can play him on pretty much any map. And also, his gadget is useful in pretty much every situation. If you come back to the bomb site and you're anchoring, you can use his gadget during that situation to hide yourself from cameras. And also, if you're off-site roaming, it's still useful. So overall, I think Vigil can get a 5 out of 10 in this category. Moving past Vigil, it is now time to talk about our last roamer, Oryx. Oryx gadget is the Ramadash, which allows him at a click of a button to rush forward at an extremely high rate of speed. During this dash, he can run straight through walls and barricades at the cost of some health. This allows Oryx to not only get away while roaming, but he can also use it to help his team make rotates and set up the bomb site. Speaking of getting away from the attackers, one of Oryx's passive abilities is to jump up open hatches. This makes Oryx a force to be reckoned with on maps where there's a lot of verticality. Some great examples of maps he is strong on are Consulate, Cafe, and Bank especially. These maps all allow Oryx to easily get away after being spotted by attackers by either jumping up a hatch, dropping a hatch, or ramming through a wall. This can allow Oryx to stay alive for much longer, which in turn wastes more of the attacker's time. So considering how much his gadget can do for him, I'll be giving him an 8 out of 10 in the gadget category. Now that we discussed his gadget, I can now talk about his loadout. Oryx probably has the best loadout out of any operator in this video. He has the choice between the T5 and the Spaz 12 shotgun as primary options, and the Bailiff shotgun and USP handgun as secondary options. The T5 has an exceptional fire rate, solid damage, and moderate recoil. As you've probably noticed throughout this video, I've shown clips of me using the T5 with the 1.5, and well, unfortunately it has been removed today, and so this does hurt his loadout rating a lot, but the T5 is still a good gun. As for the Spaz, it's a mediocre semi-auto shotgun that he really should never run. The T5 is just simply more consistent and is going to be better in 90% of situations. However, his other shotgun, the Bailiff, he should run. Every single round, no questions asked. This thing is an absolute beast for setting up the bomb site. You can use it to make head holes, rotate, and you can use it to open hatches that you can jump up later in the round. But the Bailiff is really bad for trying to take gunfights. Its damage range is abysmal, and even if you are close, it won't be doing too much damage. As for his other secondary, the USP-40, it is a decent handgun with a moderate capacity and decent damage, but it definitely isn't worth running over the Bailiff due to the utility you'd be losing. Overall, I'll be giving him a 7 out of 10 in the loadout category. After his loadout, we can discuss his secondary gadgets. Oryx has a choice between barbed wire and proximity alarms. Barbed wire is definitely the clear choice here. It slows down attackers and it gives you an audio cue of where the attackers are coming. Compare this to proximity alarms that only give off loud audio cues. I think it's clear why I think barbed wire is better. Barbed wire is just simply a must-have on a lot of bomb sites, and proximity alarms don't really do the same job and they can't do it well. So I'll be giving Oryx a 6 out of 10 in the secondary gadget category simply for his barbed wire. Now, finally, it is time to discuss Oryx's versatility. Oryx is definitely the best operator in this video when it comes to versatility. You can use him to set up everything you could possibly want in the bomb site, and he can use his gadget to save himself from a lot of scary situations. Also, his guns combined with his 2-speed rating allow him to be useful on pretty much any map you can think of. The only real downside to Oryx's versatility is that he is at his strongest on maps with a lot of verticality, but you can still get a lot out of him even if you pick him on a map where there aren't a lot of hatches. So overall, I'll be giving him an 8 out of 10 in the versatility category. Now to answer the question you clicked on the video for. Who is the best roaming operator? Well, let's go to the scores. In the gadget category, Caveira got a score of 3 out of 10, Vigil got a score of 9 out of 10, and Oryx got a score of 8 out of 10. Then in the loadout category, Cav got a score of 3 out of 10, Vigil got a score of 7 out of 10, and Oryx got a score of 7 out of 10. Moving on to the secondary gadget category, Caveira got a score of 5 out of 10, Vigil got a score of 6 out of 10, and Oryx got a score of 6 out of 10. Now finally, in the versatility category, Caveira got a score of 2 out of 10, Vigil got a score of 5 out of 10, and Oryx got a score of 8 out of 10. This means Caveira's overall score is a 13 out of 40, Vigil's is a 27 out of 40, and Oryx's is a 29 out of 40, meaning that Oryx placed first, making him the best roamer in Rainbow Six Siege. And this is their ranking in order. As always, this video is strictly my opinion, and if you disagree, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, I make Rainbow Six Siege content just like this twice a week, so go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. If you want to see more of me, you can go follow my Twitch because I'm going to be streaming 2 hours after this video goes live. So hopefully I'll see you there. Anyways, if you want to watch another video just like this one, it'll be popping up on your screen right now where I compare the roam clearing operators of Rainbow Six Siege. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.